something very magical happens when we do connect with and honor those potentially taboo thoughts and feelings and recognize, well, what does that part of me really yearn for? And allowing that part to like evolve into more whole expression. Is something like that happening in the record, do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you expand a bit more on that?
Yeah, I think when I was writing the specific, like individual songs, I think it was unintentional.
Yeah.
Putting them in this order, it did feel very intentional about like, okay, this is where we're starting and like this is where we want to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is all the kind of shit you have to like feel and wade through to get to there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no getting from Act 1, Scene 1 to Act 3, Scene 5 without going through Act 2.
Yeah.
Which is, do you know Brené Brown?
Yeah.
The whole Rising Strong process is based on Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 establishes the world of the character, and there's some kind of inciting incident near the end of Act 1 where we realize, okay, this is what needs to be worked on, this is what the problem is. And then most of our healing journey, or any specific healing journey that we experience ourselves being on, is going to be Act 2, where we're in the midst of trying different ways to deal with that problem. And then Act 3 is where we're able to show that we've discovered a way beyond, that we are the person that we kind of yearn to be in Act 1. Let's take a look at the journey that happens in I Want to Believe before moving out of Act 1, Scene 1. I think there is a befriending of demons, of some demons happening.
Or at least a listening to them.
Listening to, yeah.
I know that personally I have a tendency to ignore feelings, ignore demons, ignore darkness, because those are uncomfortable to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with this being the first song on the record, that's very much a part of this, of like, shove everything in a corner, let's try these other things, let's try prayer, let's try dating, let's try all this other stuff. And then in the last verse, it's like, okay, like kind of admitting like, there's something wrong with my mind. And not in a bad way or like a shaming way, but just like, yeah, I've got like a big problem that's too big for me to fix on my own, but also like someday I want to be self-sufficient and like be able to believe in me and trust in myself. I think trust is also like a big kind of theme in this album. And in verse 2, it's like, can I trust you? Can I trust me? Like, can I trust God or whoever? Like, I don't know who I can depend on and who I can trust, and I know I can't trust myself in this moment. And yeah, so just kind of coming to the acceptance of, okay, in order to like stop like carrying around all these feelings and to move towards health, I have to like finally start not bottling these feelings down, but like listening to them.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's not comfortable.
Yeah, and this song honors that realization, I think, very well.
Yeah.
There is, I think it's, the scene that's set for me is that the real, if the story is going to progress, which it is, then what it's going to be essentially about, the main characters in the story are these demons, and whatever aspect of the self is in relationship with, like, wanting to keep them away, wanting to keep them at bay. Like this part of the self that is considering those ways of interacting with those demons is going to have to find a different way of interacting with those demons. And then once that happens, then that establishes the pattern that can kind of spread out and affect you and affect the we as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to track number 2, I'll Make You Want Me. And we'll keep our awareness that sequencing is key, but also I think that this song kind of partners up interestingly with Champagne.
Ooh.
So we've got the sequencing, and then kind of alongside that, maybe a little bit of kind of compare, contrast, the second song and the song near the end, like 3 songs from the end.
Yeah.
So here, this is a song. This is one of my favorite songs on the record. I love the vocal delivery. I think we're entering kind of new territory with what the vocals are doing here. So let's begin by just kind of focusing on how this song sounds and the vocal melody, and because it does seem different to me. It seems like you're doing something different. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. This is around the time when I was like, I want to learn guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on learning guitar, but I wrote this song on guitar, which I think was the first song I wrote on guitar. Before that, it's always synthesizers or keyboards. And I think I was kind of trying to get out of this kind of writer's stump that I was in of like, oh, I just keep writing the same things and I want to try new stuff. So yeah, for me, melodies come really naturally or like, it's not something that I have to think about too much. It's just like, once I get the chords down, it's like, oh, obviously this is just what I hear. But I can't, like, I have a really hard time singing this song. I don't know why I decided to keep it.
In this song, now we're kind of trying out dating. As you were kind of saying, we're considering different possibilities.
Yeah.
Or at least the song is focused on desire, for like between people. The reason why I think it's interesting to compare with Champagne is there's the declaration, I'll make you want me. In the first verse, again, we've got first verse, second verse, third verse. The first verse, we have the intention to make someone want us. And the second verse, we are made to want someone else. Mm-hmm. In both of those verses, as soon as we've made someone want us, then we're not showing up to be the we in the way that it might seem like we were trying to, that we were trying to. Mm-hmm. And but then interestingly, by the end of the song, whereas it had begun, I'll keep it fun, I'll play it cool, and then there's the lack of belief in self, because after I'll make you want me, then I'll leave, it's what I do. That's the story that we're telling about ourselves. That isn't what happens in a way by the end of the song, because then we're looking back, I kept it fun, I played it cool, maybe things didn't go like we wanted them to, but now you're the one I'm dreaming of. That at least is a different story than I'll keep it fun, I'll keep it cool, and then I'll like flee. Mm-hmm. So where in the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 are we? And what for you is the significance of the fact that there's this intention set at the beginning, and then we kind of circle back to that intention at the end, and the story has gone a little differently than what was planned or expected at the beginning.
Yeah, I think we're still in Act 1 here.
Yeah.
Of just kind of laying out like, I've got some toxic dating habits.
Yes. Yeah, there isn't toxic positivity, but there is a reckoning with toxicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, with toxic positivity and other forms of toxicity.
Yeah, and kind of toxic like attachment styles too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A combination of like as soon as you like me, I'm just gonna like dip out, but also like if I start liking you, then it's like, okay, I like you, but I don't want to. Like, to me, this song isn't like, oh, it's nice, like, figured shit out, like, it's great, learning how to trust people. It's like, I like you and I didn't want to like you. I wanted to still be able to, like, dip out and, like, not have attachments.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people experience too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
So still kind of like, even though it does involve other people, this song still feels very much centered in the I of like not letting other people fully in, like kind of trying to manipulate relationships a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Without, the manipulation, it's a song about manipulation, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a song on the new album by The Weeknd called How Can I Make You Love Me? And I think it is, like, both that song and this song are not kind of like pointing a finger at like an element in our culture and saying, you know, it's terrible, everyone's manipulative. Mm-hmm. But there is a kind of this, whereas in the later songs we'll be experiencing love and trust and celebrating that.
Mm-hmm. And actual care for another person.
And love, trust and actual care, yes, yeah. This culturally pervasive desire to make someone feel or think a certain way. This song kind of recognizes the toxicity of it, mm-hmm. and reports that it doesn't lead to the same place as the love and the trust and the care.
Yeah.
But it doesn't demonize either. It's not like, it doesn't say, like, I hate people that that try to make other people feel and think a certain way.
Yeah.
They're pathetic. It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. And I think that relates to the relating with the demons in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like by the time we get to the roller rink, it works. I mean, the demons are kind of there, but they've been kind of transformed or transmuted by this being with them.
Yeah, they're like the demons got little roller skates on too.
Yeah.
They're like,
the demons.
dancing away.
They're just about. Some demons you can't take anywhere, but these demons you can take roller skating.
They're a great time, a little bit messy, but yeah, they're really, really a fun bunch.
Because we've been with them, and we've like cultivated a relationship with them, and we haven't disowned them. We're being with some toxic habits there, but I think it's really key that the song isn't. There's no judgment in the song, I feel.
Yeah. Even
though there's a desire to experience something different again, as established in Act 1, Scene 1, mm-hmm. We don't want to be in Act 1.
Yeah.
We're still in Act 1, we don't want to be. There isn't a making of oneself and or others bad for being this way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which I think normally, personally, I feel shame around those things.
Yeah.
But again, maybe, I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I wonder if it was kind of a prayer.
Yeah.
If you will. Of like, okay, cool, like we can look at these negative traits about ourselves and try to not have judgment and shame around it.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here I'm being manipulative. Here I'm being manipulated.
Yeah.
And why is that happening? You know,
mm-hmm.
It's because I have a need that needs to be met.
Yeah.
What's that need?
Yeah, just being curious instead of like judgy.
Absolutely. Because again, we can't get beyond Act 1, Scene 2, which is where we are, unless we recognize that that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of skip away. Let's break away from the key sequencing for a moment and mm-hmm. jump to Champagne, mm-hmm. because we have something similar happening there in terms of the dynamics. there is, did you mean all you said at the end of the first verse? So we're wanting the other person to be in integrity. We're wanting them to be abiding by the values that they profess. And then by the end of the second verse, desperate for you to know somehow that I meant all I said. So there's components of the song where there's still some kind of risk of entanglement, and the characters, we love these characters, and they want each other. They want to be loved by one another. I think this line, desperate for you to know somehow that I meant all I said, is an important kind of stepping up, related, I think, to the pattern being set by just me initially with my feet on my bicycle, that could eventually become me and someone else at the roller skating rink. Here it's like, no, I am in integrity here. I did mean this. And I want to, I yearn, I pray to be in deeper integrity and to become more and more this aspect. The person who is and acts in accordance with what I said at this meaningful moment. So do you have any other thoughts on that aspect of Champagne? My sense that Champagne both kind of reflects some of there's a kind of similar verse 1, verse 2, verse 3 trajectory to track 2. But there are some of these new components. What do you think about all of that?
Absolutely. I think that's pretty spot on. Champagne is about me leaving this like really toxic, abusive relationship. Kind of just like where I was at in my life when I wrote it, and also I think the words kind of explain that. So it's both acknowledging
the shame in this song. Shame about the champagne breath. Shame about
just like things. All the shame, and also all these like toxic traits of like, or just toxic things. Like it's not cool to like feel shame about all the things you're doing, or like worry that someone else is gonna like find out all these other things. Like that's obviously a very unhealthy relationship. But then kind of with the like this was right at the end of that relationship of like, okay, like I knew I was gonna leave this person, but then there was still a little bit of me that was hanging on. And so it does, I think, really represent and kind of go along with song 2, I'll Make You Want Me, because it's like, okay, here are all these traits showing up, look what happened, not great, but also like, maybe this is the end of Act 2, where like, cool, we're gonna make this decision. Like I've got 10 million things I've been meaning to do, is kind of like, to me, like a little glimmer of like, I can do all these things when I'm not holding on to all these toxic traits and toxic people. There's that intention again, and that commitment to the self is there. And that's been growing because, we've been applying the pressure, the compound effect with our feet. So this has become a larger component, and I think it's just as much as the sequencing is key, I think it's also key that you weren't composing the songs with the intention to take someone on this journey. So it's kind of helpful to kind of put Champagne and I'll Make You Want Me together and to recognize how similar they are. But in the one song, there's been, the flame has been kindled enough for there to be some transmutation of some components, and for it to be evident that, okay, the protagonist is further along in the story here. And healing isn't linear. Yes, maybe there's a similar relationship dynamic, but yes, and there's also this awareness of other things that they want to do. And it's maybe becoming more natural to shift away from some of these
external toxic components, because of the desire, the yearning, that feeling, honoring that feeling, you know, I could be, and already by feeling this, I am.
Exactly,
This other
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, both the external toxic components and the internal toxic components. Yeah. Because, like, champagne is something that you should have a fun time drinking instead of, like, feeling shame around drinking or, like,
Yeah.
trying to hide it, you know? Like, champagne is, like, such a celebratory drink.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the song is called Champagne, and the fact that the song exists as something that you publicly sing, encompasses that. There is a kind of celebration that I think is the kind of the transmutation of the monster.
Yeah.
So initially, the lyric comes from the experience of wanting to hide the champagne breath and shame. But then we end up with a song that celebrates the self-awareness, and then this, you know, I think that the monster that has champagne breath is welcome at the roller rink.
Absolutely.
No one's going to shame the monster.
Wearing the most glittery dress.
Yeah.
A little champagne demon.
Yeah. Okay. Let's now take a look. So now we go back to Trash Baby, and I think Trash Baby, and Swear to God. Those two kind of partner up well, and they're back to back. And here I think we're really grappling with the negative self-talk. We're going inside, and humor, dark humor,
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
And healing, I think. There's no way to get to I Love You, the final track, and to therapy where there's the we and there's the trust and there's the caring, without going through the humorful, dark territory of Trash Baby and Swear to God,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I think Trash Baby is really important because, you know, the message is kind of like, I'm garbage. But the delivery, it's so fun.
Yeah.
It's like a fun, non-shaming song
Yeah.
that's saying, I'm garbage.
Yeah.
And that's significant. Could you expand a bit more on that?
Yeah. So obviously having those feelings of like, I am a trash human, I'm garbage, for me, and I'm sure probably everyone else, like automatically induces some level of shame
Of
by
course.
like saying that.
Yes.
And in order to make this song like not just like kind of cringy of like, whoa, you are really just putting all your self-loathing out in the world, like you just have to be like, I'm a garbage person.
Yeah. Like Oscar the Grouch, he's a garbage person.
Exactly.
We love him.
We love him. He's invited to the roller rink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, though, there's also this part of, like, in culture today, at least in America, we say like, "Oh, I'm still a piece of garbage," you know, like as a joke. But I think it's really harmful even to joke about that stuff. Like, I'm such a terrible person. Isn't that so funny? Because even saying that out loud, like, makes it more ingrained in my body and like in my brain.
Words do have a power, and words are like spells that we cast on ourselves and on others.
Yeah.
Could we just go a little bit more with the cognitive dissonance, the productive, great, powerful, kind of bordering on paradox? I think we're saying it's not good, it's harmful to say I'm a terrible person, and yet in a sense the song is doing that.
Yeah.
We're not judging the song. Could you just expand a little bit more on all of that?
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing about therapy or like feeling your feelings is how do you acknowledge the toxic parts of yourself, or the parts that aren't serving you or that are harmful to yourself or other people, without like leaning in?
Yeah.
I have a fear of like, okay, if I admit or put words to like, I think I'm a piece of garbage, how do I feel those feelings so I can like befriend the demon and work through it without just staying stuck in that spot once I've admitted it?
Yeah.
And I still don't have the answers. I'm still like working through that of like, okay, how do you feel these feelings? How do you put words to these thoughts without, so you can feel them and then move through?
Yeah. I think, I mean, part of the answer from experience could be write a fun song about that takes this idea of being the garbage person, but like puts a different spin on it and reduces the power of that. Because if one isn't saying it, then there could still be the thinking of it, like the internal monologue. But I think having written this song, you know, if that voice kind of comes back, now it's got like a fun tune that you own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can, and then you can kind of integrate it more.
Yeah.